enjoy the show, play on Walljangers.
This is an official start to the Tales of the Hunted podcast. And, of course, we have 2 returning guests at one time, fans. And, of course, this is Tales of the Hunted. I am your host, Matthew Bucurel, the Mattman. And to my left is Frank One Punch Percy. Now, above us, we have seen them in 2 individual Tales of the Hunted podcast. We had Jim of X Night on with his actors, and I thought, you know what? X Night, there's something about that art style. You know what I mean, Frank? There was something, it seemed so familiar to me that I had to look none other to one man right above me, Mr. Johnny Necro. There's these dark vibes I get from both of your work. I need to see a collab with you two. This is pretty much, it's like Bumble for comic creators right now.
Nice.
I've been planning this shit for a week. This is the joy I get in my life. So, but I love both your artwork, and I feel like X Night and Johnny Necro need a crossover.
Why don't you draw a pinup for my new book celebrating 24 years of Frozen Dead like Frank is? You can have your character in it and everything.
There we go.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
That's how
we'll have to connect.
Look at that grin. He's so happy. He loves somebody up on a blind date.
He is, yeah.
Oh, they're making friends.
Yeah. Breathe, Matt. Breathe.
We're all,
Breathe.
and this is the part that I like is that there's especially a thing with podcasting I've seen like people I've podcasted with, I've got them all together and then they're friends instantly. You know what I mean? I've seen connections formed just from, and I see something here. I'm telling you, because X Night, you got the movie, and your other you've been moving and shaking there in the film world, sir. Talk a little bit about that. You've been busy. I'm following both of you on social media. What's been happening since you left?
I started writing the X Night sequel to the film. I'm working on the next film project I'm working on is a series of short horror and mystery thrillers for a YouTube series I'm doing called Cinephere, inspired from the works of like Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt, and I have a couple of my filmmaker friends who are going to write and direct a couple episodes, and I'll write and direct a couple. The first one we're going to film in late February, early March. It's called Mystic Metronome. It's a psychological horror movie, so they'll all be like short films. So that's the next film on the horizon, and I'm on a new X Night comic as well, and writing the eventual sequel. And I think I mentioned last time we're doing audio dramas. We're going to start recording those to put on YouTube.
That was such a good idea from the last podcast.
That's awesome.
Remember that. Oh man, that is such a good idea. I'm glad you're going forward with that.
Thank you. I've been listening to like a lot of The Shadow, and even Twilight Zone did some like audio dramas on YouTube, and it's just sound effects and dialogue being very specific. So I'm like, okay, I can do that. And yeah, my friends are on board, so we're just trying to get everyone together at the same time. So.
You know,
oh man!
I think
let us know about that, man.
Absolutely, because I think I might have said this last time when we were talking about the audio dramas. But there's a big, even Marvel did a push in the audio dramas, because there was the Long Night, or what was that Wolverine one? It was something like the Long Night or the Long Dark Night.
I know. DC did it not too long ago.
Yes, they did it with the Joker and Harley Quinn. That was a really good one. Oh my god,
yeah.
I love, because my one beer guy at Giant, he was like, "Dude, you got to listen to this. It's on. It's everywhere. Joker, Harley Quinn. I'm in." And it was really great. Same thing with the Wolverine ones. When you have like an audio drama, you know, it doesn't seem like it'll connect because it's something from, you know, way back when, but it's almost like retro feeling of like the beginning of podcasting, because the beginning of podcasting was not like this. It was a radio show on the internet. And that audio drama, you need writing, you need sound effects, and a recording device. And now, especially with like fan fiction, I saw on another one on Spotify, like the X-Men. There's a lot of fan fiction on them that they do on, it's just, hey, this is work of fan art. There's like, they get their friend who's a lawyer to write down the perfect script of like, hey, we're adapting comics to audio dramas. There's a couple of them out there with Batman and X-Men. So why not X-Night? That is the perfect way to expand X-Night out there, because you've already done the movie. You're doing another movie. Like we said last time, you're not doing that classic mistake of the Batman to where here's my 3 guys. You're getting your whole rogues gallery in there to play around. And that's what I like about both of you, is that you both have a rogues gallery, if it were, with your characters. You have history, and your fans, I think, will love the collaboration between the two of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm always down to like collaborate. Expand the horizons. So yeah,
All
over the
about
years,
unity.
filmmaking. What's that?
It's all about unity in the scene.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
There's too much competition out there. The independent circle needs to be a tight-knit family, whether it be film, whether it be music, whether it be comics. That's what it's got to be. Back to the old school roots of let's pick each other up, not tear each other down.
Yeah, man.
Well, sure.
I've said it many times. It's the standard motto here.
Yeah, I never understood, like, because I went to college for film, and like even there, like sorry, some people no worries, it's not fire alarm. Yeah, at film school, like there's always like the popular kids, and like there's a film club, and me and my friends never fit in, and we were kind of the outcasts, and I never understood that mentality of like, why see each other as competition? Like, we're all independent filmmakers. We're all starting out the same way. We all love movies.
Well, there's money, but it's also a shitty personality that usually comes from the money.
It's an insecurity if it's just at that level, but it really gets down to where it gets ugly is when
because I know the
money starts coming in. Once that especially a competition, you see, then you have to really pit yourself against another. Unfortunately, I mean, it's better to have a bunch of friends be with you than a bunch of people in front of you. So as many friends as I can make to help whatever you're doing, I mean, it's going to be better. You can't escape competition. Yeah, you can't. You can't escape, sometimes, like I said, money comes into it, and everybody wants that, nicer life, so hey, that's what it is. Learn from as many people as you can, and when you're ready for that competition, you're prepared, so
yeah,
that's all you can do, but man, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what the only thing you can do. But the one thing that I have found, especially with doing this podcast, and I'll keep saying it because all you guys are awesome. You're always so like helpful and, welcoming whenever I see you guys, whenever, I have you talk to you on the messaging stuff. Everybody is always so helpful. And then I put out something like the Mark McKenna podcast that Frank and I just did. And then I see you guys liking and sharing it out. And I'm like, 5 years. Finally, somebody will share out the podcast. God damn, I've been telling people for 5 years. It's a nice refresher because ultimately it goes back to that. And I don't want to put it like, oh, it's only a fraction of your day. But it's caring enough. And actually wanting and having that mentality of like, no, this is my friend. All my other friends need to see this because this is amazing. This guy is doing something because I can't tell you. I'm sorry, my friends on Facebook, but a lot of you don't have actual ambition. You don't want to do anything with your life. I love finding people that just, usually it's, people define it out to being like the outliers or, the outsiders. But a lot of creative types are in that kind of broad description. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people are, a lot of creative types didn't come from happy homes. Like that 1950s, Leave It to Beaver style of a home.
Right, yeah.
It's usually a little, not like, the horror Winnie the Pooh dark, but, an alleyway you don't want to walk down maybe. Like,
right.
That's unfortunate.
Hey, I lived in that alley.
But that's the thing. It's just, you get all different types when you walk into this realm. And, a lot like, we didn't actually talk about your origin story, if it were, Johnny, back in your first interview. But you briefly mentioned that you lived on the streets. You were homeless. And to be able to sit in front of us now, you have a studio, you have a good job, you got an awesome wife, awesome side companies and side hustle that you're absolutely killing it on. Like you did, I always want to bring it back to Last Action Hero. Like you pull a 360 on me. It's a 180, you twit.
You know what's funny?
I love that movie so much.
when I moved to New York City, late 1999 into 2000, I had a job set up, a place to live, and it fell through. I ended up living on the subway, riding it back and forth at night just to sleep. And then I would draw comics in Greenwich Village at a little cafe on McDougal Street. And then my first show that I played was at Kenny's Castaway on Bleeckers, or no, I think it was around the corner on Bleeckers, but Kenny's Castaway, like my second week being homeless in New York. So it's like even being homeless didn't stop me from doing my shit. And on a side note, I moved my way from that. I got a different job. The guy I was supposed to live with and work for got arrested. He broke parole to see his kid out of state, and the bitch called the cops on him.
Wow.
So he got arrested. I didn't know that. I'm in fucking station calling him like, dude, it was payphone years, no cell phones. I was like, motherfucker, please answer the phone, man.
Yeah.
Fucking here with a goddamn book bag of
Yeah.
shit.
Right.
But I happen to have a connection. So I went to McDougal Street Ale House because I had a friend from this small town in Tawana, Pennsylvania that had worked there. So I talked to the owner, Jimmy, and I was like, Jimmy, I'm friends with such and such, blah, 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 blah. He goes, well, you can keep your stuff in the back room and get cleaned up in the bathroom and pass out flyers. So I started working even though I was sleeping on the subway. So I'd buy the passes on the Metro card just so it was unlimited.
Right. Yeah.
I'd eat if I could drink for free because I was friends with a bar already. The pizza place down the street, I went down there afterwards. I was like, look, I don't know what you're going to throw away, but I'll clean your tables and bust your tables. He goes, come back at 4 a.m. Come back at 4 a.m. We'll hook you up. They would give me fucking boxes of pizza to eat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And then I would go to the all-night coffee house and trade that for fucking coffee from the staff. And so I'm like, I'm moving and shaking with no place to stay. Still never had got a hold of that guy, but I finally figured out what happened when I moved from there to a hostel in Harlem, working for Columbus Circle Liquors, delivering booze back and forth on a hand cart. Then I ended up living in Brooklyn in Park Slope, and I actually talked to MTV about doing a Frozen Dead cartoon the year after it was created.
No
I am
shit.
so glad I didn't do that.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm so fucking glad I did not do that, or I wouldn't have Frozen Dead today, I'm sure of it. Because look what they did to Napoleon Dynamite and Mike Judge from Beavis and Butthead.
I was just about to say that. Like, that was a good move. In hindsight.
But they called me back. I left a message randomly because I'm fearless when it comes to that shit. I don't give a fuck. We all shit. We all fucking jerk off when we're growing up. Fuck it. So I called and I left the message, but they called me back after the lunch break. They go, send us a pitch meeting. Like, I'm cracking them up again with my horrible dick and fart joke humor.
That's horrible.
The only ones I laugh at.
The judge of the ears,
Yeah, I know.
But seriously, I ended up from when I first got published, homeless, by the way. Frozen Dead got published when I was living in an armchair at my friend's house when I could get in. I was published for the largest college newspaper in the country, freelance. And then I all of a sudden decided, fuck this, I'm going to live in New York. And everything fell apart, but I kept going.
Yeah.
That's New York. That's New York for you, you know. I know those places you were stomping around. My God.
Yeah.
Jeez, I know those places, man. Yeah.
We just went back in August for my anniversary with my wife.
Yeah.
You know, and I was going places I didn't go when I lived there.
Right.
Like when I lived there, I didn't go to Midtown Comics. I didn't have money for that shit.
Yeah, it's all...
You know, I didn't go do the tourist stuff. I didn't go see the Ghostbusters firehouse. I'm glad I waited because now it has the sign up.
Yeah.
Chicago bought them that sign. You know,
that's awesome.
Went and saw Dana's apartment building and the church the Marshmallow Man stepped on. You don't do that when you're just trying to fucking eat.
Yeah.
Well, it gives you a place to walk around too. I tell you that. You know, it kills time.
I'm walking.
Yeah,
I slept on the subway. I didn't travel. I walked between East Village and Greenwich Village, back and forth.
Yeah.
Woo.
It's rough.
That sounds like a lot of walking. It sounds like a lot.
It is.
Once again, Frank connecting to the New Yorkers. Be like, I know where you walked. No, I remember that.
I know those places.
Yeah, I know. He can feel the walking a little bit more than I can. Like, oh no, I worked out today now. Jesus.
In New York, you just name streets and neighborhoods. People are like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "I'm from Park Slope." Yay, Brooklyn! Like,
yeah.
But that's awesome.
Great, man. That's great. You got your publishing. I mean, that's awesome, man.
I mean,
and I wasn't even a student. That was the thing. I got freelance, and they couldn't pay me because I didn't have a student ID. So the editor gave me drinking money at the end of each week. He was like, "Here, this is what I would normally pay my staff. I'm out of pocket in this. So you can go have a good weekend."
Right.
Well, thank you.
Right.
Matter of fact, I don't want to take over a lot, but there's a side note. One of my other comic characters fucking hates Frozen Dead. He has been in Frozen Dead, but he's stuck in a limbo called the Land of Abandoned and Forgotten Ideas, where all this stuff I started and never finished lives. It's like a limbo purgatory. I created his comic in high school, years before Frozen Dead in '99. And one of his other side characters ended up in an early episode of Frozen Dead as a joke. Years later, when I did my time travel story, Brett ends up temporarily face-to-face in that realm. And that the Masochist Mouse is just like, man, I hate you guys. So even my own comic characters don't fucking like each other.
So
what part of Brooklyn did you stomp around in then, you know?
I mean, there's two New Yorkers in the box, but bringing it off of New York, this is one thing I want to get both of your takes on. Because I saw this, it's in the news right now. So Mickey Mouse, we all know him and love him. Steamboat Willie.
It works for me so good.
It's now in
Minnie
the
Mouse.
It's
Minnie Mouse is public domain too, by the way.
Yeah, but only those old versions.
That's okay.
So
Do you know who Minnie Mouse is in my comic? You don't. I guarantee you didn't research this much.
I didn't go that deep in. No.
It's Bret Hart's kid's mother.
Say that.
I wrote that years ago. Bret Hart, Johnny's Hart, Bret.
Yeah.
Minnie Mouse is Candy's mother. I got her back for Frozen Dead now. I just got to draw her old style.
All right, that's fair enough. So
I wrote it as a parody years ago.
You've already thought of this.
I thought of it on New Year's Eve and I said, yes, I'm bringing her into the comic.
So the first news stories that come out on Mickey being in the public domain is horror films. If only we knew
about that.
A film.
I saw that too, but I'm not sure I'm going to like it.
Jim, what would you do with Mickey?
So that one movie they announced real quick. So it's a horror. So kind of like what they did with Winnie the Pooh. Just instead, it's now a slasher with a Mickey mask and a knife. Yeah. Okay, interesting. So it's Winnie the Pooh, but Mickey. Okay.
Yeah, they're just gonna Sharknado that shit.
And
then all of a sudden you see Mickey versus Winnie the Pooh. Damn it, I didn't know I wanted that movie. All right, now I want to see Mickey versus Winnie.
If they do a Ronald McDonald slasher movie, I'm totally in.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a little frustrated. Yeah.
Can you imagine Grimace in one of those movies?
Yeah, right next to him. Yeah,
That'd be great.
He's
what do you mean? Do I imagine that right next to him? What are you talking about?
He's
Like
a
in
big murderer.
Willy's Wonderland with Nick Cage, that kind of creepy animatronic furry.
Oh,
yeah, if you did Grimace like that, that'd be like that bad.
But they
No,
deserve-
I mean, like somebody in a bodysuit and that kind of
Yeah.
What's that one with the three? What's that? Oh my God! Now we're really pulling it back. What's that one with the three characters? The banana splits.
Oh,
Yes.
Jesus
In that
Christ.
type of,
I like that
imagine
movie.
that type of character: Ronald McDonald, Grimace, the Hamburglar, and who else was that in there as a slasher movie,
Keys.
just going around just chopping up people. You know,
Oh,
just great.
Captain Crook.
I would be. That you just steal my money. Just go. You can't steal it any faster.
God, that's
Take
Look
it.
at the original Hamburglar. He already looks like a serial killer.
That's true.
Yeah, imagine that.
That's
He's the only. He's the only one who's actually stealing shoes from little women. You know, it's like
All right,
really
I'm
freaky.
gonna go dark, but with the Hamburglar, I always saw him as like a fan fiction SVU episode. He's
Yeah,
doing something
he's not right in the head, as they say. You know.
Yeah, he dresses
Right.
like he's all ready for prison.
Yeah.
Go read my claymation story because I have the McCult and they summon a McDemon and it's everybody wants some hamburger from Better Off Dead and they crucify Grimace and they shove one of the Happy Meal hamburgers in his neck and they're yelling praise Jesus.
Well, we know who's going to write it. You know, don't we? Don't we? All right. So
I almost forgot how you've already.
we could just do a motion comic book just for just to keep the fans happy. Just go anywhere you want with this, from there. But
That's what over 2 decades of Frozen Dead gets you, man. Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
I love
I
parody.
forgot about those references you just pull.
Blame not Brand X, blame fucking crack, blame Mad, blame SNL. I don't care what you blame. It's all rolled together into my head and it just goes on the paper. Because I like playing in other people's sandboxes.
people do things in sandboxes. I don't like playing in.
Well, it's my comic too, but I don't complain.
But that's an interesting way of looking at
Yeah.
it from
Yeah.
and ultimately it is almost like because all stories have already been told. It's almost like borrowing from a lot of other people's sandboxes when you're trying to create anything.
Yeah.
Like
Obviously, I mean,
I
Star
forget
Wars
what I was
borrowed from,
watching the other day, but I was watching it and I was like, I'm going to steal a bunch from you. I'm just going to put you in my pocket. I'm going to let you jingle around there.
Who stole what to make Star Wars? Who did that?
like Lucas was inspired from like the Flash Gordon serials, the Kurosawa film, Hidden
Seven
Fortress.
Samurai.
Yeah, and John Wayne's The Searchers.
A lot of
For some-
samurai
yes.
films.
That's some really good lifting ideas. Yeah, I can follow those. Yeah.
Magnificent.
Even someone
Seven
pointed out
Samurai.
Hammer films, like because Peter Cushing and David Prowse in A New Hope, and they played Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster in 2 movies
Yes.
for Hammer.
Yeah. I enjoyed seeing him come back to life in the later episodes. The CGI. I mean, it was kind of like really kind of spooky. It was really nice. He had the look of him and just a little off, but nonetheless, that was very good. I have to say.
That scene was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It still is, like you said, a little bit creepy. Like early CGI has that kind of creepy look.
Yeah.
And they made fun of that in the Disney Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie that just came out. They made fun of the dead eyes of early CGI. Are you looking at me? I'm over here.
Yeah. But I enjoyed that, especially the voice. Whoever was the voice actor for that, pretty much nailed it. I could hear it from the first movie. He got the British accent and then got his. He rolled his R's. If you listen to some of his earlier stuff, he rolled his R's instead of just a British accent with a kind of tenor voice. He actually rolled his R's, so he actually got it right. So I was like, wow.
The Peter Cushing voice actor from the Clone Wars series, because they had General Tarkin in the Clone Wars as well.
Yeah,
and he
they
sounded very close.
Well, they also
I'm
had
not
that.
sure.
They had that. I want to say it was like a deep fake for Tarkin when he popped up. What was it in Rogue One?
Rogue One.
Yeah.
Right.
Rogue One.
Yeah.
They had him there,
Rogue
and
One.
obviously the CGI in Star Wars. That, like, what if that just dropped at season 2, and there's a lot of people like bitching about voice actors being changed and all this. I'm like, look, it's animation. You guys bitching about this were not like, you didn't grow up in the 90s because you watched a movie in the 90s. You got the cartoon spinoff. It was not Bill Murray in The Real Ghostbusters. You know what I mean?
I do remember. I do remember being disappointed when you watched
the original Peter Bateman.
Like,
But it's that kind of thing of you're not getting that original actor. You have to put that aside. Yes, with What If, you are getting some original actors that they still got on retainer. Hey, what am I doing today? You're doing a What If episode. Get in the booth. And that's what you get. And, it's enjoyable. But then, like, people bitching about, like, they changed Groot's voice. Are you fucking kidding me? He says 3 words. Vin Diesel literally only realistically needed 1 recording time in that entire Marvel session. I am Groot. Maybe a couple different inflections. You're done. Later, Junior, we have a save button. Why are you bitching about little things like that? As long as they get the voice actor's voice similar enough, I'd say, to that original voice actor.
Yeah, I mean, like when because we grew up with like Kevin Conroy as the voice of Batman, the animated series, and the various anime movies he did, plus the Arkham games. But like when Peter Weller voiced Batman in the Dark Knight Returns animated movie, he was doing Peter Weller, like he was doing his version of Batman and Bruce Wayne, and that's one of my favorite Batman comics. And he fucking killed it. Yeah, of course he did. He's RoboCop. But
Right.
yeah, I like that. That's a good example of like he did his own thing because it's a different Batman. That Frank Miller Batman isn't Bruce Timm and Paul Dini's or Mike or Tim Burton.
Mhm.
Influenced those definitely.
Sure.
But yeah.
And you even see that influence in the Ben Affleck Batman, because that was a huge pull from Frank Miller on all that stuff.
Yeah. I love that. I did love the little nods when he saves Martha in the warehouse and he holds the same machine gun. The guy I'll kill her, man. I believe you. Bam.
What books influenced you? What books influenced you in your journey as an artist?
Aside from The Dark Knight Returns, I would definitely say like a lot of Jim Steranko work on the Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I love.
Wow. Okay.
Steranko's, because the first book he did for Nick Fury, he tells a famous story. The first 3 pages have no dialogue. There's no word bubbles. It's just the artwork. And it's of Nick Fury breaking into a secret base. And he said he did that because he was inspired from like silent movies. He's like, I feel like the words are there. It's visual. You don't need to have words. And he did it as a test to test the publisher, the editor at Marvel. And, and I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. Like, that it's that simple. It's visual poetry. And then once I really studied Steranko's work, I would read like other comics by other artists and see that like, oh, okay, like I love The Watchmen, obviously. Long Halloween, Dark Victory.
Oh, great.
Yeah, those are great ones. I'm a big fan of The Shadow, the old radio drama.
The radio drama. Yeah, it's funny. I've never really heard that. I've never heard the any of those. I got to look one of those up. But oh man, that was some great influence. I mean, yeah, I love Steranko. Well, he was around during a time. Well, he was very young when silent movies were still a thing, so definitely black and white. But yeah, I mean, that's great, man. Anybody else that you like in that type of genre?
I love the Spawn comics by Todd McFarlane. He was one of the influences on X-Knight, and outside of him, I read a lot of Batman, Spider-Man comics. There's one Spider-Man comic I really liked. I forget the artist who did it. I suck for not remembering that. It's when he was like going as Ben Reilly. He like dyed his hair blonde, and he just fought like with his clone version of himself.
I think that was Dan Jurgens.
Okay, yeah, it was like the Unspectacular Spider-Man. Yeah. His first villain was like Armada, like he had this like armor suit with these little flying robots. And then Mysterio shows up at the end of the comic. Anyway, I like this story because it showed Peter Parker like similar to what Johnny was saying. He was living on the street. He was pretty much homeless. He was going by this new identity, and like Aunt May was dead at this point as well, and he didn't have Mary Jane. As a young kid, like growing up with like the Maguire movies and the animated show, it's like, wow, this is a different Spider-Man. It's kind of dark. Like, that one always stuck with me as well. Just I guess because they did a juxtaposition. I mean, Peter Parker was always like the everyman. Like it reminded me of that. Like even more so. Like, yeah, he's us. He has these superpowers, but he has bills to pay and such. He's not like Bruce Wayne, or he doesn't have money.
Yeah,
right.
But that's a good poll. Nice. That's a good poll there from the Ben Reilly, because
I love that costume too. Yeah. I really do. I love that. I had my wife make me a vinyl emblem on a blue hoodie, and she goes, "Why are you cutting the sleeves off?" I said, "Because it needs the sleeves off."
That's true.
Okay.
He made that cool. He made that look cool looking. It was cool. It is one of my favorite spider
web shooters. They look like the air pellets for BB guns, like the little canisters going around.
They were cool, but it was the same thing as like Black Widow had, because Black Widow had those little canisters right there as well, all around her. It's like everybody, they all had CO2, plenty of CO2 cartridges.
I played that new game and I put that costume on for a majority of it. Even though it was a Venom-based storyline, I was like, I like the clone Spider-Man outfit. I'm wearing this.
Yeah. That's one of the best parts about those new Insomniac Spider-Man games, is that you can they have all those costumes. Like, I remember playing as the infamous Bagman, and I'm just like, this is great. All those Spider-Mans always had the different costumes, and that it was playing into Spider-Man. But, I mean, this is one option, since we're talking about this. I got Michael Florio of Wild Oni. I got his take on Into the Spider-Verse Part 2. Well, Into the Spider-Verse, this second Spider-Verse with Miles Morales movie. And ultimately, I'm kind of siding with him. I kind of feel like that ending of the movie was really a cop-out, and it was a cheat. They really
just to get you to the next ticket.
I haven't seen it yet. Oh shit! I like the first one.
The first one was.
It's too abrupt.
Yeah,
Matt, it's too abrupt. It's like, here you go.
It's a very abrupt ending. They added in like the Gwen Stacy storyline. I'm glad I learned. Okay, this is your life, Gwen Stacy, and your drama. But wasn't this Miles's movie?
If you want to do a cliffhanger ending, do Empire.
Yeah,
it has to have build and consequences and depth and a feeling of like, okay, what are they going to do now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
not just over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Credits are rolling now. I was like, you fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Oh no,
sure, I'd like another movie.
Yeah.
Sure, I'd like another movie, but pretend that I don't know you're making another one.
Exactly, and that was the critique rather that Mike said is one of the very, very core basics that he could hear his screenwriting teacher yelling at him is never leave a question unanswered. Leave them questions like what's going to happen next, like that, but don't just say, I'm not telling you.
To me, it just felt like a studio decision. Mm-hmm. It felt like okay, we're gonna cut this into two parts, and writer strikes are coming, so let's just end it.
Oh, what was the horrible 2-part idea I heard coming up? Secret Wars. Jesus fucking Christ.
Secret Wars. Yeah.
Why break that up? That was my first thought. Why 2 parts? If you can't do it in one telling, Secret Wars.
It was huge. It was 12 issues of a story that I think in the books, though, if they do it in film or animation, something like that, it's going to be huge. You couldn't do it. You couldn't cram all that.
Not in a movie, no.
In one movie. I feel that'd be a little difficult. But
I saw it immediately as them just trying to get more money. As opposed that's their only motivation. I mean, that's what they're there for. If you really wanted to do the story right, you'd do it as a series.
Maybe, but they want the return and move on to something else.
But
they let go of the Daredevil for that time. And what is it? How many years it's been? And they didn't pick it up again until now. They're talking about it. It's doing something.
They had that
Jessica Jones out of left field, a character I had to look up. Who the hell is this bitch? I had no idea.
Me? Oh, thank God.
Yeah,
I only knew her because of Secret Invasion's crossover when I was reading that. And I had stopped reading for a while, and I picked it up during Secret Invasion. I was like, okay, who's this married to Luke Cage? It was like,
yeah.
Then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
I was like that. Yeah. I just knew she was married to Luke Cage. And I
didn't even know that.
Throughout.
It's like
I had to look her up.
With Sentry. They're like, we're just going to make everybody know that Sentry was there all along, but nobody fucking remembers him.
Yeah.
Well,
they ruined Iron Fist. They kind of ruined Iron Fist. Yeah. Ruined it. Bad. I'm a huge Iron Fist fan from the 80s. I mean, from the late 70s. My God. But
they lost all nobility in that character.
Tell that guy to shave and shut the hell up. Just be pretty. Stand in a corner. Be a plant. Be a palm tree. I don't care.
If I'm being honest, he was a whiny bitch.
He was an evil, whiny bitch. The other one was very humble and very noble.
He was. Almost like, I mean, and there was one, when the Iron Fist came out on Netflix, I went to like Ollie's or something to grab a compendium of Iron Fist, and there was this one, and it was like where his dad was this fucking robot. This robot had his dad's head, and he was fighting him on the side of a mountain, so my expectations were up here, and then I got that show, and I'm like, well, they turned in their homework.
It was just a lead into Defenders, which was the weakest Defenders lineup I've ever seen.
The same way I used to turn in my homework in high school. I cheated off a girl I knew, and I handed it in. It was horrible. It was horrible. Frank, she was smart. I wasn't. That's it.
I gotta talk to you about your paper of Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret, because I don't think this lines up.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's that kind of a question that a lot of people have about just the overall status of the studios and all that. I mean, Marvel Comics, I've infamously said on here, I've talked to a bunch of old heads. These are guys, Frank's age and even a little younger, that they collected comics back in that prime time, and now they're like, I don't follow anything modern. I don't do the modern stuff. Who is that person? Infamously, Mark McKenna. When we were talking to him, he was just like, Aquaman's got a baby now. And then we had to pull in.
No, I looked it up. He had a baby.
He did.
Was it Aquaman / kid?
Yeah, he did. He did have one, but
he was a shitty one who was killed by Black Manta.
You remember that? It was in the Justice League animated show. Back in like the 90s, 2000s. Thank you, Jim.
Just League Unlimited.
It was.
Because he lost his hand.
Yeah, because he had to save the baby.
Aquaman lost his hand and it became a hook, but then it became fucking water. It was ate by piranhas in the books, by the way. Okay. It was ate by piranhas.
Wow.
All right, I like that better.
What?
I like that.
I'm serious.
That's awesome.
Piranhas are just pricks, and they're just like.
Although I did like that he had a golden harpoon.
I like that. I like that harpoon too. It was interesting for a little bit.
It was awesome. It was. I like it.
Jason Momoa is that version of Aquaman minus the hook.
Yeah.
Because Aquaman was never like you guys said in that last episode about Lobo and him being Lobo. He works really well for Lobo, but he was the Aquaman that was from Justice League Unlimited and 90s. Let's revamp everybody, Electric Superman and shit. Let's have Azrael Batman with fucking armor. You know,
yeah. And
what
was that character's name?
Revamp everything.
It was Jean-Claude. He grabbed on the Azrael armor. It was in the old Batman. John Paul. Yes. I knew it was the John part. Give me Jean Paul in the Batman. You know what I mean?
I forgot.
I had an action figure of the Jean Paul.
You were in Marvel at the time.
Yeah, I had an action figure of the Jean Paul Batman. Dude,
it was 90s.
Dude had like a 16-pack. And it was just like an awesome Batman figure. And then when I was going back and tapping back into the comic reading, I looked at some of these old Batman comics and I saw it was Batman. Bruce Wayne didn't want to be Batman, and I think it was the second Robin, and
Tim.
Yeah.
No, wait, Jason's second. Tim is third. Jason's second.
It was because it was
Jason was dead
it was the changing of the guard. I remember that because it was Robin was just like, dude, this is not how Batman reacts because Jean Paul was not Bruce Wayne at all.
He paralyzed people.
Yeah, he didn't fucking care.
He pulled a Bane. Bane had just paralyzed Bruce, but Azrael was paralyzing. There's one where he carved a bat off of somebody's skin.
Yeah. Give me that story.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that Batman, he kind of reminded him. I've been rereading my Shadowhawk comics, and he kind of reminds me,
yeah.
like, that could be cool too. And they got the same like little claws.
Yep.
I have one issue of Shadowhawk in my head that I absolutely love, and I can't say it because it's not PC. But when Hawk's shadow and him come face to face, he pulls his head. But I'm like you. I'm only attacking black people. But he doesn't say black people. When he pulls his head off or his mask off, he goes, "I am a black person." That was the best writing in that series.
Wow. So awesome.
I have that book. Yeah, I remember reading that. Be like, oh shit!
But they didn't shy away, and that was good because it wasn't meant to be racist. The bad guy was.
Yeah.
That confrontation had to sound like that,
or
it wouldn't have worked without sounding hokey. It was natural dialogue for that situation. I was like, holy shit, they had balls for that.
At the time, it needed to be said because there was a lot of racial tension and everything. And then the comics love to put that human footprint.
And I'm not about saying shit just to say it for shock value. I really not, even with all the stuff that I do. But that was one of those situations where it fucking worked.
Yeah.
It would not have had that appeal, that feeling, that drama. That moment was so pure angst driven from that superhero's perspective.
Well, along that same line, the Watchmen series
brilliant writing
on HBO Max. That show of Watchmen, that was right along the lines, taking the series and giving the property room to breathe and grow. And then, maybe it's just because of the brilliance of, I believe it was Damian Lindelof did that series. And he's like, no, this is just the story I wanted to tell. You want to do it? You guys do it. That was my show. Story is a complete arc. You have everything you need. That is it. And it has a message because it was based off of real life events. And that is that kind of power that I'm talking about in just comic creativity and being able to have a message like that. And guess what? Yeah, as a writer, being able to write an overtly racist scene because you want people to get the message.
I have a good example for you, not to give a spoiler. There's a scene in my upcoming book.
Spoiler.
I have a lot of diverse friends. I do sometimes run ideas by them because I don't want it to seem hokey, okay? I'm all about inclusion, but I'm not about selling out like the commercials and shit are today because everybody's catering. And I don't mean catering in like a a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they're doing it for money. They're not doing it for acceptance.
Yeah.
So I have a character who's a lesbian werewolf. She's a punk rock riot girl chick. She shaves off all of her fur.
Love it.
And I was talking to one of my gay friends, Michelle. I was like, "Hey, I have a scene that you're going to be in. You're going to be in this scene, and her and Brett don't like each other. They've met each other. Brett hit on her. She doesn't like Brett. Brett doesn't like her. I've got some fucking ideas. I want to make sure it's not overtly offensive, just for shock value." And she goes, "No." She goes, "I'm smart enough to know the difference. If you're writing a character who's saying accidental racist things, it doesn't mean the writer is. There's a difference if you're actually writing that character."
Mm-hmm.
So, because there's a meme out there with a werewolf, and these two people are looking at the moon, and they say, "Oh, the full moon's out. This is the type of night where werewolves come out." And then you see a werewolf come out, and he goes, "I'm gay." That was fucking hilarious. So I wanted to incorporate that.
That's interesting. Okay.
It is fucking funny.
That's interesting.
It's just a play on words.
It is.
You don't expect it. That's the part of
So,
comedy.
I said I
To
want
say
to
the thing you're
incorporate
not
that
looking
line.
for.
I want to incorporate that line with Brett being an asshole to Chaney Talbert. Chaney Talbert, by the way, is named after Lon Chaney Jr., who played the Wolfman, and his character, Larry Talbert. Chaney Talbert.
Yes.
So,
Oh, nice.
so they're arguing back and forth, and as they're arguing, he's like, "Oh, great," you know. He goes, "Listen, is one of your puppy powers pounding pussy?" And he's like, just being really fucking rude and aggressive to her. But he makes a version. He goes, "Tell me something, lady. Was there a real pretty moon the night you came out?" And she fucking goes ballistic on the fucking guy. But I wasn't being overtly racist. It was, they don't fucking like each other. I was trying to write realistically. She goes, "No, that's fucking funny." She goes, "Go ahead."
Right.
So I do.
Well, there's always going to be nowadays that people are hyper aware. So I would take it with a grain of salt, no matter what someone says of your intention. So just be clear and, in your idea, and just lay it out. You're an artist. You're supposed
The people that read my stuff
you're
know
supposed
me
to
and
shock
know
people.
I'm not being an asshole about
Right.
it. You know what I mean?
Right. An artist's job is to make the uncomfortable comfortable, and the comfortable uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mel
not,
Brooks is one of my biggest influences. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's my generation.
Well, that was a long time ago. Today, a lot of people have never even heard of, much less seen. So, I mean, to us, I get it. But if you're not out there really shocking, you're really not really pushing the envelope for that type of creativity.
Well,
So I would go for it. I mean,
Again, my
just,
character's an asshole. He is.
Right.
That's how he talks.
exactly.
well, let them know. Let them
He
know,
doesn't
and
think
you're
it's
establishing
wrong.
it.
You know what I mean? He's like Tourette's syndrome. He has no filter. So,
But that's also the sign of a good character. If you could piss people off with your
and they
writing,
love him.
you're
My
doing it
character,
right.
Johnny Necro, is like second string to my fucking side character anymore.
Yeah.
Because everybody loves an asshole who says what he thinks because they don't have the balls to do it.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Mhm.
If you're not pissing people off
Some of us
with an asshole character like that, you're not doing it right, because you think back of your favorite series to watch and that antagonist who is so smug. The hero is going to win in the end, but he's so smug. If he was standing in front of you, you'd poke his eyes out and shit in his mouth. That kind of hate is that kind of, is, for instance, just out of nowhere, not like
On that note, Brett shit in Johnny's skull. So, there you go.
Full circle.
There-
Full.
there you
Granted,
go.
he was trying to get a ghost out of Johnny's possessed zombie body,
That's
but,
edible.
he made it uninhabitable.
If I'm a
Okay.
ghost, that would make it uninhabitable for me.
He did leave. And Johnny looks and he goes, I needed that body, right? The spirit of Johnny's just standing over it.
The goal was completed. Flat out. Okay? You wanted the ghost gone? Ghost gone. I don't see the problem. But
That led into my first actual guest star of a human being like celebrity in the comic who's actually coming back for this next book too. I know I'm like beating a dead horse with it, but Dr. Chud, the former the Misfits drummer, was the one who sewed Johnny's corpse back together in my comic and created my character Pickles von Necrostein. So it comes full circle.
That's awesome. But just even having that, having the ability to go and play in your own sandbox, because you mentioned, you're playing in other people's sandbox. I don't see it like that. I see your sandbox is just so much bigger than everybody else's because you're not limiting yourself to borders. You're putting your idea first because just like what Jim does with X Tonight, both of you know, if I put out what I want to watch, what I want to read,
right,
they're going to want it. They're going to watch it. They're going to consume it because it's not formulaic. You don't have executives.
Yeah.
You have
it's
your
all
thought
fiction
on the page, and that's the part of this fiction that makes the indie market so easy to tap into. It's right there. It's not something you've seen before. Guarantee you. You may read it and be like, oh, this is kind of like that, but then, it's also like this. If you're analytical about it. But if you're just looking at it like, this is this new content I want to consume, you're not gonna see it coming. You know what I mean? Like one of the reasons I picked up that Robert Kirkman Walking Dead comic was because I was told this is 1,000 times better than the show. And you know what? They are. It's really dark and it's really awesome. Everybody should read that shit. But it's that kind of thing of being able to go as dark as you want, to go as comedic as you want, to be able to have free range in your idea, and it's that kind of thing that the indie developers have as a huge nuclear missile in their arsenal that Marvel and DC don't. Because with Marvel and DC, you want Iron Man. You want Captain America. You want, Batman. You want Superman. I want Green Lantern, goddammit. I'm going to keep saying it till they give me a goddamn fucking good Green Lantern movie. My rings are over there covered by other stuff too, but I got one.
That's one of my summer wedding bands.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
I'm not even a huge Green Lantern fan. I just wanted it because it's a Green Lantern ring.
Green Lantern's my guy.
Oh, I love him. I love him when he got crazy right before Parallax and he got all the rings and was killing all the Guardians.
Frank, what did I say? What did I say? That was the first comic that I owned.
Picture. That picture is the best Green Lantern picture ever drawn.
Get out of my mind. I'm telling you. It is the best fucking comic ever. I fucking love that comic. And it was all the rings, and he looks so fucking badass. He looks crazy as shit, too.
Right.
And he's just like, and then hearing that Parallax is, and that was a good point. You put the two on the knuckles. It wasn't just like he had 10 rings. He doubled up. He had a bunch of rings on his hand. Like, you can't. It was so badass. Like that was a Green Lantern that I got into, and I was disappointed ever since.
It's cool, like the first introductions to superheroes. Like for years, Green Lantern, your introduction to Green Lantern was this badass version. And I'm like, for me, Michael Keaton was my introduction to Batman. It was a cardboard cutout of him from Batman '89 with his arms crossed. It was in the train store. I know who Batman was, but I was blown away. And the guy in the store was like, "Oh, you like Batman? I'm like, is that what he's called?" And he was. I'm like, wow, he looks badass. And then the animated series.
Oh yeah.
And they, did the animation on that. It's I saw the Adam West reruns of that later on, but and I was at the time I was like, what the hell is this? Why is he dancing? It was, and I learned it was the '60s. Okay, it was groovy and all that.
Yeah.
Although that Adam West Batman movie, I watched on repeat. It had the Penguin, the Joker, the Riddler, Catwoman. Yeah. There was that bomb, and then the shark repellent and shit.
Yeah, until we were grown-ups, we did not question shark repellent. It was like, he has everything on that belt. Even the ludicrous shit like shark repellent.
Dude, after listening to the last Rogan podcast, I don't even believe in bear repellent, okay? Because some bears laugh at that shit, okay?
If I can ignore Joker's mustache, That is not going to phase me.
I've had rodent repellent outside
Use
my
it
house
as
for the past
deodorant.
4 fucking
Yeah, I know.
years. It didn't keep them out. Steel wool keeps them out. Because those rodents chew on that steel wool and they're dead. Just like if anybody chews on it, you know? You chomp on a big old bun of steel wool, it's going to be like a Tide Pod, gang. It's not going to turn out well. Make that the new don't make that the new challenge. Jesus Christ. I've regretted it as soon as I said it. Don't do that.
Edit it out.
I might actually edit that shit out.
God.
Or maybe
My
not,
God.
because I'm dark.
We love a new plague of steel wool being chewed, and it's not this false Matt. It's a wanted poster with Matt's face.
But dude, wouldn't that be awesome? That'd be the biggest bitch if that's how Projangers and Walljangers blows up, is that I tell a bunch of people to eat fucking steel wool.
Where are you going to be at next?
Yeah, man.
Convention wise,
Yeah.
I've definitely been doing Ocean City again.
Okay.
It's gonna be a 2-day event, so
Gonna be down there both days?
yeah, I'll try. You know,
Oh, yeah.
give it.
I can't wait.
done
I can't
Convention
wait. I really
before.
can't wait, you know.
Yeah, me too.
So.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I got to tap out like Johnny. I got to pee. I'll be right back.
We'll have an interview, Jim. Right here, we can still have an interview. Yeah, I can't wait for that 2-day type of thing. I mean, I think that's going to be really nice over there. So, you're going to be anyplace else coming along?
Not yet.
Yeah.
There's a new convention that started last year that I wasn't able to go to, but I want to try this year. Captain Blue Hen.
Oh yeah, I was there. Yeah, they had it in Dover. I would say absolutely. It's
Cool.
a like an old Sears place at the mall. Huge. So that'd be perfect. I was there. Very nice.
Cool. Yeah, I met the owner a couple of times. He was really nice. So
Yeah, Sean. Yeah.
definitely. Sean, yeah. So aside from Ocean City, Comic Con, Blue Hens, Comic Con, excuse you.
Yeah.
And yeah, try to look at some other ones.
Hey, I'm faster than Johnny.
I would want to I would think to want to me personally to stretch out a little further. I'm limited in that. But where are you located exactly or roughly? Are you in Delaware or in Wilmington?
Yeah, Wilmington.
Okay. All right. Well, there's Greater Oaks, which is north of the city of Philadelphia.
Blue Hen.
Yeah, he's thinking about doing that again. Trying to get in there for this year coming up. So we're thinking about other places. The ones they have in Philly at the big convention center, they're expensive, and I don't know how friendly artists they are, but
I saw that one.
I was there.
That Aline posted. It was like $300 to $500.
Close.
Yeah, I mean, not that
God.
I'm not trying to knock the bigger ones or not believe in myself, but for not doing them. But just like over the years, I'm like, I've known comic book artist friends who've been at the bigger ones, and just attending them, it's like the table cost is really expensive, plus everything else. Also, if there's celebrities there, they're gonna zip right by your table.
Yeah.
I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
I saw that at Blue Hen because we were sitting right next to Ming. I loved it because I could talk to him, but it was like, zoom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, that is the bitch about the big ones.
Yeah. I went to Philadelphia Wizard World in 2019, 18, something like that.
Okay.
And we were ignored, nice, big.
You get the pursed lips from the
But
white people.
it wasn't because if I didn't live there in just outside Philadelphia and coming in was just a train ride, if I had to shell out for the table, which I split with somebody, that it was expensive, so it'd have been even more if I had to get a hotel.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's
I actually got water there. I did my stupid reason. I got water there. It's like $7 for a bottle of water. Yeah, no, I shit you not. Water.
That's
H2.
Do some convention centers have that free like water bottle filler?
Yeah.
See that shit? You just hold it under it.
Not there.
Charging like $7 for water. Like, what is wrong?
Yeah.
That's why I've always brought like stuff with me just in case.
Yeah.
Like, little
You learn your lessons. You learn your lessons. Yeah.
Oh yeah, $7.
You're not sending me to the cooler.
Yeah.
The Great Media Comic Con gave me free water.
Yeah.
Chris, I need water, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the cool one about Blue Hen too.
I wasn't asking for coffee. I just need a water.
I was like a houseplant at Blue Hen. I had like 4 different people coming. Do you need water? You know?
Yeah.
You don't want water?
Yeah.
Water?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
Blue Hen, I
nice,
was
right?
like, I was drowning, they literally drowned me in there, but that's what you call good customer relations. They come by, how you doing? I can't tell you how many times the owner came by at Blue Hen and say, hey, Frank, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Just the guys who are just helping out came by. Hey, what's up?
We saw
Something
one of
came
the,
down. They helped you fix it right back up.
We
So,
saw one of the owners of Blue Hen down in Ocean City. We were kicking it with him and Iron Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's what you call it. Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even expect it, but that was one of the highlights of the Blue Hen. I'm like, God, one of the owners of Blue Hen Comic-Con.
Some places don't. Some places don't. Or let's be clear. Some places don't. You don't see them. Your table is over there. Nothing.
Yeah.
So you know what good service is for a con, and you know what's not. So,
but it also comes down to the quality of the con too.
Ocean City.
Those cons like Ocean City and Blue Hen, the people in the community, they're coming up to you, be like, "Oh man, thanks for coming. This is great."
Yeah. So
it's not a bad thing to stick to those small cons, Jim.
Well, those two are big now. Those two are big size cons now.
Oh,
Ocean City is big. Blue Hen is only getting bigger. So
if they can rent out a Sears, I think
if they can rent out a Sears, he can do it. Yeah,
it's big. It's big.
Yeah.
I can't wait for those 2 cons this upcoming year.
Syracuse was really nice to me in like 2019. I ended up they're inviting me in to have lunch. I was sitting there with Graham Nolan having lunch. I enjoyed Joe Sinnott's last birthday alive with him.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was so cool meeting him.
Yeah.
And now I'm friends with his grandson Dorian, who's a horror writer. But yeah, that was so cool. They treated me great. And that's when I was first starting to come back to cons. And then I didn't go to another one until Great Media. Just I couldn't find the ones that felt like that, where the promoter was nothing but cool to me. He had tried to get me the year before, but it didn't line up. But he still invited me for the next one, and that was incredible. But again, I'm like sitting there when I'm having a conversation, and we're talking about creator rights and all that, and I'm like talking to this guy, big, strong guy, and it didn't dawn on me at first, that's the creator of Bane.
Graham Nolan, yeah.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. It was great.
Okay. Never met him, yeah. Wow.
Well,
this
is a different side of Tales of the Hunt that we haven't actually gotten to talk about, which is the artist side of the cons and how it is very much important for the company that you're doing business with to not be dickheads.
Because I've done some where they were.
Once again, the first fucking rule, don't be a dick. I always like to say,
Good manners cost nothing.
nobody likes a dick, but everybody
The
likes
second
an asshole.
rule, don't treat them like they're nothing.
Oh yeah, that's kind of implied in the first, but I feel like you should kind of label that out with the second. Like, hey, you are getting them to be, the entertainment of your con. If I come at you with like a whole bunch of rules, stipulations, and then say, all right, I'm never gonna fucking see you again. If I come off like a cold asshole, it's gonna rub people the wrong way.
Right.
How would you feel going into your doctor's office and him being like, what? What do you want? What, are you sick again?
Yeah.
There's blood on this. Should I be concerned? Go away.
Your table's there. Go peddle your wares. Be gone.
Yeah.
Buy this.
Here's the green room. Thou shalt not pass.
Yeah. So there is a little bit, especially like we're saying, everything was always like, especially with from my side, just podcasting wise, everything was all about the big cons. That's where you're going to get the news. That's where you're going to get all this, content and all this releases and all this stuff of these recent big cons. And to have people say, like yourselves, actually, the small ones are where it's at. It's a message to not only other content creators out there, but also to these people at the cons. If you want these people, it's like, I forget, Frank, who was it that was telling us about why you don't see big name stars at Philly? It's because they don't treat them right.
Yeah, well, could be. Yeah.
And
The Philly. Wait, at the Comic-Con Philly, like the
Philly
convention
conventions.
centers?
Like, I think it was one person was telling me, like, look, you saw Jason Momoa.
Sam Raimi was at the last
Once.
one last year.
Like the big names of like entertainment wise. Whereas like you saw Jason Momoa at like one of the Philly cons like once. You don't see like Henry Cavill coming to town. You don't see big names in nerddom really stopping in.
But you see them in New York,
yes.
and you see them in Pittsburgh, but they bypass Philadelphia. You see them in DC. You see them in Baltimore.
So
But you don't see them in Philly,
For a town labeled brotherly love, there's not a love going out to these creators and actors and everything. That's what I'm picking up here. Like,
yeah, there's something there.
That was our name there. City of brotherly love.
They had Sam Raimi last year, the one in Philly. I mean,
well, let's see if he comes this year.
Yeah, that'd be a thing.
That's what I heard.
That's the thermometer. That's the thermometer right there. Did he come back again?
How many people do a second? You know what I mean? Like, we got Johnny Necro back for a second at the Great Media Comic Con.
Well, it's because you treat me good and not like a nobody. I live 40 minutes from Almere, New York, and they have a con every year, and they still try to charge me for a table. And it's like, look, man, I've lived all over the country. You would think you would want to celebrate somebody who's more local, but is what it is. And again, we talked about this before. I know it's all about the draw factor, but I'm all about the wow factor. You get me talking to them people, and I will entertain them. I will make them feel like I'm the person next to me or whatnot.
Well, there's a lot of relatability with you and your product. And it's because of I'm going to touch this IP because of What If. I'm going to touch this because I have a reason. You're going to the places that people don't necessarily go. And that's the draw. Now, one thing that's very prominent, especially in like podcasting and any kind of show and any kind of event, is, like you're saying, the draw factor. How many likes does he have? How many followers does he have? How many this and that? They're not looking at the potential of the product in front of them.
Right. And when you want to get somebody when they're starting to finally go like this, and they're starting to jump. But again, I've rubbed elbows with a lot of people too in a good way, but I don't push that factor either. You know what I mean? I'm not out there. When I'm talking to you guys, I can be honest. I don't go out there saying, hey, I've got to use Cerebus. I've got to use ElfQuest. I've got to use Patrick the Wolf Boy. I have a pinup from a former Punisher artist. You know what I mean? I don't jump off of people's lily pads. You know what I mean? I'm not playing Frogger with other people's careers. But I mean, come on. I'm in a sequel, unofficial as it is, a sequel to Halloween 3. I did a commercial for Troma. I'm like building these little blocks on purpose so that I can try to balance there to be like, how much more do you want me to be a draw? I can't be in a 5-minute scene in a 1975 horror movie. I can't do that. So I'm trying to make myself there now.
Unless you unlock time travel, then you would be
right.
able
Well, I already ruined my comic with time travel, so I'm leaving that alone.
But then you could go back in time and fix that. So see, the bootstrap
Time travel
paradox
fixes
has you solved. If I watch Doctor Who enough, I know a good old-fashioned bootstrap paradox. So that'll do you good.
The 10th Doctor kidnapped Johnny Necro and took him to the year 2525, and it solved nothing. Look at Frank. He's like, yeah, okay.
But you're my Doctor Who fan.
Oh yeah.
Doctor Who coming to Disney
grew up
Plus
before.
in May. How do you feel?
How do I feel?
Yeah, Doctor Who coming to Disney Plus in May.
Good. It was on the Disney Channel. I think Doctor Who needs all the exposure it can get in America.
I fucking forgot about that. I fucking woke
Yeah.
up one morning
No,
and I was
it's
watching
on
the
Pluto.
Disney
The
Channel
old
and
ones
I
are on
saw
Pluto
all the
TV.
fucking shit. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's on Pluto
fuck
too?
yeah, man. I love Doctor
Oh,
Who.
shit.
Mm.
Did you get a chance to watch the specials, the four
Not yet.
specials?
Not yet. I watched some of them. We're really behind watching stuff because I'm so busy. Like, I just watched Ahsoka a couple weeks ago. I'm just finishing Archer. Like, we do spend time together. Me and my wife have our little times together. But because right now I'm like on such a deadline with multiple things, I was telling Frank before the show, I got a song I'm trying to release in February for We Are Horror Records compilation. I got this book for the Great Media Comic Con sequel.
Yep.
You know, I gotta only worry about me right now and not about entertaining me.
Dude, I get it.
And when I'm in writing mode too, to be honest, when I'm in writing mode is when I stop external media other than listening to music.
That's a good idea.
Because even though I parody a lot of things and I tribute a lot of things, I do not fucking plagiarize things. So I keep my mind closed on just what I am doing until that part is done.
I like that. Yeah.
There you go.
It's a good mindset to have.
It's very hard not to let things bleed in and not even know where it came from when you read as much as I do or watch as much. I am still reading. I'm just not watching a lot of things that could influence my current story.
Yeah, I can see that because when I do write, I like to at least just close myself off from external media. You know, I'll have Facebook up for Messenger, but it's me, and whatever I may have on YouTube for music.
Another homemade cup for my wife.
Oh, wow, man. And it's good merch, too. You know what I mean? It's not like that shoddy merch you got. Like the guy, he just had an iron and he just pressed it on like a T-shirt,
really cool.
Charged you way too
Nice.
much.
We're
Like,
bringing new ones
really
of Horror Adorables to the MediaCon.
Awesome.
Nice.
They'll be sublimated. This one's vinyl, but it'll be sublimated. So we're going to do like the main characters of Horror Adorables. Sorry to interrupt, but
Oh, always.
I am so excited for April, man.
It's gonna be
can't
great.
wait to be there again.
It's gonna be great.
You know?
Cool.
We'll have to get
feels
you
like
in
coming
on
home.
that,
It
Jim.
does.
We'll have to get you in on the Great Media Comic Con as well. Next year we'll have you in. We'll get you in on that ball, on that train. Get you moving that X-Night up here, up in media.
Yeah, 2025. Yeah, definitely.
Don't say
We
that.
need to do a live podcast together down there.
Well, I'll fill out
We
an
need to get
application.
together and do
It
like
wasn't
a
until
small
you-
window podcast after hours or something.
That sounds great, but it wasn't until
'Cause
Frank
we'll be
said
together.
2025
You know what I mean?
that really fucking
Well,
made
that's
me feel
literally tables flew so fast, and so 25 we're gonna look. They're looking for a larger, much more substantial venue. It's we I think we're outgrowing the community center.
Well, we talked about that the first year.
Yeah,
I'm not involved, but I am a huge fan.
You're
but
still involved.
We
I'd love
talked
to do
about
it,
that
yeah.
the first year of having to go outside of that spot because it's a very quaint and awesome venue, especially for media because it's a very old town. And old towns, they're not like, with these big brand new convention centers and lots of fucking space. You got to kind of wedge in where you can. And
Right.
I mean, that community center is great for, just the space that it is.
Right.
I was really impressed with the first year, but
Mhm.
second year, third year with Jim. Oh yeah, that's going to be even better than the second year. That's how we're setting this up, gang. We're going to keep on plowing through. And that's ultimately with these new cons, like we were on the second half of the show talking about the con circuit, but it's, I think, going to be a bigger thing going, in the future, because especially with the Facebook algorithm, I'm starting to see a lot more cons. Like I saw, Frank, you like that Philadelphia Game Expo that's coming?
Yeah, that's in next weekend or something like that, or
Yeah, it
close.
was something close. It was real
Something close, really, really close. I may just go down there just to see the gaming and, if anything, take a ride just to look around, see, what's needed or whatever. What do they do, besides it's just gaming? If it's just digital, I'm sure it's tabletop. I'm sure it's a little bit of everybody, but
there's just so many different cons out there right now, and especially
right. Well,
There's
it's enough cons for everybody. Enough cons for what is your thing, and where can you maybe to branch out as an artist? What else could you stretch into? If you can, independent to. Well, there's no. I mean, just see what's just out there for you. From movies, pop culture, whatever. So
I mean, well, shit. I mean, I know like novels, that is part of nerddom, but the first time I saw somebody selling a book at a Comic-Con, I was like, oh,
yeah, I saw that a few times.
Arts and
yeah,
crafts. And it's just like I didn't expect to see that. So where I'm like, well, all right, well, where could people wedge themselves in? Like, can we get like Jim or Johnny in at like the Philadelphia Garden Expo?
Yeah.
Well, Joe Sinner's he sells novels at the Comic Cons, so he's right in there. Maybe it's because he's related, but he puts his books out there. Of course, he also dresses in cosplay, which is really cool too.
Well, that's also a tie-in.
But yeah, Joe Sinner's grandson, he sells just books.
There's a couple of those people. I saw him. It was Blue Hen last year, Blue Hen this year. Well, I guess 2 years and 1 year ago, because we're in 2024. There were a bunch of people to where I was walking around, and it's just these authors. They're just literally pitching their novel at anybody who will walk by and listen.
Yeah, sure. Why
And
not?
it's that same kind of thing. Like, I know there's not like novel, like you can't go to like a book. Do they have book Comic-Con, like book conventions?
They're called book fairs.
Wow. All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's true.
All right.
That's
Elastic
true.
book fair.
Greeting cards, all kinds of things. Yes, if you name your poison, you'll find it. You can find it. I don't know how big it is,
Right.
but you can find it. So,
Like one of those Saturday.
all right, guys, I got to cut it short. I got something to get a place to go. So, Jim, it's great talking to you. Hey, Johnny, it's always. And I'll talk to you guys at another time. All right, gotta go,
All right,
dudes.
Frank.
Hey, everybody.
All right, man. Take care, dude.
The great and powerful Frank Percy. Frank One Punch Percy signing off as he desperately
He's back.
tries
He's
to
time
hit that
travel.
button. Yeah, he's desperately trying to hit that button like end call. There we go. But this has been a great podcast, guys. I really I thought this would be great. We all got a chance to like I actually had anything to put into it. But you guys got a chance to update the Walljanger family as to where you guys are at now, and I definitely want to keep having you on, man. You guys are constantly putting out content, and that's exactly what this platform is for. I want everybody to know about X Night.
I love your King Kong poster, by the way.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Classic.
That's awesome.
Classic.
Thank you.
Not to self-promote. I'm not sure if you did your homework, but send me a friend request that's Horror Adorables and check out my King Kong. My Horror Adorables are all horror icons drawn in really cool cartoony ways, and more Adorables, which is like RoboCop, Johnny Five, Alf, and shit.
Oh, nice.
It's like a whole other, having that that opportunity to go as ridiculous or, parody wise as as you want, and then sell it at your time.
We're all ridiculous. Nerd culture is ridiculous.
We are.
We think we're all so cool, but we're not. We're just fucking real.
Yeah.
Man, but they're the most judgmental motherfucking culture I've ever fucking dealt with since punk rock. Nerds are as bad as punk rockers, man. You can't watch this. This isn't as cool as the original. You can't like this. That actor's not the same. You can't listen to fuck that shit. Be yourself. That's what this is about. Create what you've always looked for in your fucking life. Listen to what you've always wanted. Do whatever you can, but be yourself.
Yeah. In the end of the
And
day,
don't put other people down if you don't like what they do. Just fucking move on.
just don't watch it. You don't have to.
Right. Like you said with What If. Fucking cares if somebody else's Groot. He's a fake fucking character. There is no real fucking Groot.
I forget what show it was, but somebody was asking me if I watched a show, and there's a show on like suicide.
Well, that's the good thing about being independent rather than
Mm-hmm.
working for Marvel or DC or Image is like you create your own superhero so you don't have to worry about pissing off the fan base because you are the first fan. You're making it for you, the artist.
Right.
I always say whether you're making a movie, writing a book, making a comic book, writing a song, like you are the first fan of that art. So make it for you. Don't try to make it for a certain group or a person.
If you don't like it, nobody else will.
Fuck that. Don't just make it for you.
Well, here's the thing.
Because
That's not necessarily true, because if you don't like it, I've seen Lost. All right, because I like Lost up until
you
the
do
end
have a
season.
point.
Just like Game of Thrones, some people will watch.
I guess the
Absolute
ultimate
shit.
sellout is to create shit you don't like just to get a check so you can create shit you do like.
I mean, if I was getting a paycheck right now, I would write a fucking story about a crayon that poops, chocolate.
That's a great idea. You should write that book.
I'll make it a kid.
The crayon that poops. What color is the crayon? Brown? Green?
You know what?
Yellow?
I was thinking pink. Pink.
Pink?
Very nice hot
Perfect.
pink. A hot
I think
pink.
you might have to get a colonoscopy.
It's definitely a sign of something going wrong.
but in the Crown world, maybe that's normal,
And by the way, your special effects looked really cool when I was looking at your Facebook page for your movie based off of your art. That's really cool.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the X-Men helmet my friend Gus Clark made. He used to make cosplayer stuff, so he does like latex masks, and he did that one from a Red Hood mold he had and just painted it black and white. So
Nice.
I hired a special effects artist. Trauma Queen is her FX is her company name. But yeah, she did like our gore effects. There's these cannibal demon pirates that are like eating guts and shit. And one person gets stabbed in the eye, and I had the eyeball like come out the back of the head. So yeah, I wanted to be very bloody, and it was fun doing the sound effects, like when the pirates are eating the guts. They're rubber with fake blood, but the sound effect of them chewing on it was me chewing on like a big mango. Just
To play devil's advocate, have you thought about trying to have Troma distribute it on Troma Now?
I wouldn't mind. I
You
have
should
it on.
probably contact them. I'm serious. Troma Now takes
It's
a
on
lot,
TV.
and it's your original shit.
Yep. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
work
what I'm
for them. I
talking
just
about.
did a commercial for my friend who's a freelance contractor for them, but I'm like loosely affiliated, like this 5 fucking shades of bacon. But
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's on.
I think I mentioned on both of your podcasts with the availability of indie comics on apps like Comixology, Trauma. That's another one that it's right out there, and both.
I'm not going to guarantee you're going to make a lot of money because even Lloyd doesn't, and it's his company of 50 years.
But
it's exposure.
It's exposure. It's getting your
It's
idea
out
out there, and then that's another person coming to your table at the con.
Yeah, that's
Just
that's
remember,
what's great
James
about
Gunn came from Troma.
Right. Yeah. So, right. Or something. Yeah. No, that's what's great about this one site called filmhub.com where it's for
I'm
independent
familiar.
filmmakers. And I have it on there, and they help get independent movies distributed on third-party streaming service like Tubi,
Right.
Prime, and there's a bunch of others. So yeah, I was
It's a
able to get
long fucking series of shit to fill out, though.
Yeah, I mean they have their specifications on the poster size, but it's like okay, I know how to use Photoshop. I designed the poster, so I was like okay. And you just had to get the captions. You had to pay for
Right,
that.
that's a pain in the ass too. There are YouTube videos that fucking help with that.
Yeah, the website they used, rev.com, was pretty easy to follow. Like, okay, just watch it through, and you can edit here and there. It was different, but
So
Well, that's right. Yours was on Prime, isn't
does
it? It was on Prime.
as a layman here,
Yeah.
does that software, does it like analyze the video you put out there and give you that janky like copy or that janky subtitle stuff that pops up? Like when I was going live on Facebook with Walljangers and Walljangers, it would pop up with auto-generated subtitles, which anytime you can
use fake subtitles.
Well, anytime you can read subtitles, it's usually one of the most hilarious things ever, because it's like they have so many misspelled words. And
our 2-year documentary or 24-year documentary of Frozen Dead, I've been working on that film. I'm setting stuff up, and I don't really think the algorithm pays too much attention as long as there's subtitles. So we're gonna write a joke making fun of me and my friend the whole fucking documentary.
That's awesome.
We'll want to see if it'll work. I'm gonna try to see if it'll work and just make a whole fucking joke.
Yeah.
Subtitle.
That's the awesome amount of experimentation you can get in the indie market, to where it's a little joke like that I think all fans will be eagerly awaiting that. You're like, oh, I gotta see
That'd be fucking hilarious, man.
I gotta see that joke. You know,
It'd be worth me not getting put on anything to try it, because I can always change the subtitles.
yeah.
But I am willing to try it, because that seems like the ultimate fucking in joke.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of that story I heard when Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were shopping around Goodwill Hunting. In the middle of their script, they had an orgy scene. And it was just to see if you
Is they were paying attention?
Just to see if you really read the script. I had this teacher in ninth
That's
grade, Mr. Perone, and he loved to tell this story about how he used to teach at colleges, and they had to make these really long, like, dissertation papers. And this one kid thought he wasn't actually reading everything.
It's awesome.
So he started like talking shit about his mother in the middle of that and all that. And then he called the kid's mom, made the kid write an apology, specifically analyzing every insult that he said and why it was wrong. And it was the most expertly done fuck you I think I've ever heard. Like, oh, you think I don't do my job? Well, let's show you how I do. And it was that kind of a level of, you know, oh, you think I'm not paying attention. But
Yeah, I am paying attention. Now, so will you.
exactly. And I hope like any streaming service or anything that you put your content out for would be that thorough, but we all know they aren't. Because it's just,
Yeah, and
I'm giving
you're
you a
able to check.
soapbox. Here you go.
Yeah. So
That's
the great thing about it.
Yeah.
And, can't wait. Yeah, like I said, I'm writing the sequel for it, so I can't wait to do that. But that'll come later. I'm doing like my Cinephere series, which will be on the YouTube channel,
awesome.
and working on a new X-Knight comic book. I finished volume 4 last year, where he fights a new villain, a new serial killer. Because with X-Knight's World, I like giving him different rogues gallery of villains. Like you fight some of them are just serial killers, so they're grounded. Others are demons from Warpel, this purgatory realm. So like his new villain, Reverend Razor, who's this, he was a pastor of a church, but he was a rapist and has been thought to be dead. But he came back and he's been kidnapping teenagers, one of them being his daughter, Clara, and he holds them in this closed down amusement park, because I just love that trope of villains using that.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, I went all the way of having X-Knight, because his other villains prior were demons, so it's like, well, they're already dead. But Reverend Razor, he's immortal, so like X-Knight just kills him. This villain's a rapist anyway. You don't see it; it's just mentioned dialogue, but he drugs his victims with syringes. So I had X-Knight like, you know what, fuck it. He stabs him in the dick with it, RoboCop style, and then just
It's awesome.
makes him, and he gets impaled.
That's awesome.
And yeah,
It kind of reminds me of almost like that Walking Dead kind of goriness of just being able to do what you want to.
I thought of Sin City, like Marv specifically from Sin City, like just how like brutal that guy was, but he rooted for him because it's like,
He was such a great character, man. He was noble as hell.
right? And think of the design of him. Like the face is great, but his cut is just a black trench coat and like a white beater, I think he had on. But yeah, like, I mean, Frank Castle always wore the black trench coat, the Crow, obviously. But for some reason, I always think of Marv from Sin City. Like, yeah, he made, for comic book heroes, he made the trench coat like cool, like popular. Like, oh yeah, it's very simple but slick, badass. It's gothic.
Yeah,
that's why I had X-Men wear the trench coat, but I'd pop his collar so it has kind of a Dracula thing.
Almost like Dracula Spawn kind of pop
horror rock,
like,
Misfit.
Yeah.
I still pop my collar on my leather. I'm not lying. I'm dark and spooky, not funny.
It's definitely it's definitely a look from the 90s. But we've gone everywhere and everywhere and anywhere this podcast, gentlemen, and I got to have both you guys on again.
All at once.
Exactly. It's been an absolute blast to have you guys on again, and Tales of the Hunt is going to keep on going, gentlemen. So this is just a normal day, as we call what is it, Wednesday? Yeah, a Wednesday. And I like to end this podcast off with the same bit of music that I purchased oh so long ago. I'm your host, Matthew Bucurel, the Mattman. In the box, we had Frank Percy, but he left. We have Jim Cannatelli of X-Night. We have one Mr. Great and Powerful Johnny Necro. 2 guests back again, and they will come back again in the future, gang. We're going to keep these tales going. And until the next hunt, game on, boys and girls. We love you. We miss you. We want to see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.